really important for you today. I'm usually all about growing food and making medicine and definitely preparing. Financial preparedness is also another really important thing. And I have on the call here with me just an unbelievable expert in precious metals, and Miles Franklin, Andy Scheckman from Miles Franklin. And, the world is so bizarre and so crazy and so out of control right now. It just kind of makes sense to me that there would be some really bizarre investment opportunity too. And it really is, it's a saving grace that's available to all of us. But I'm going to have Andy come on here. Andy, hello, welcome, and to talk a little bit about silver. Well, we're glad to have you. I got to tell everybody, when I was first trying to book this call with you, we were having some technical problems, so it was probably a good idea when we didn't make it. But you were just like, you could barely hold your head up. Like, you're inundated with, and all the brokers now are just completely inundated with people buying gold and silver. So this is, definitely not just something that I'm making up or some little fluke thing. And central banks, they're also buying a lot.
Central banks have bought at any time, and I don't look at that as a event. You're talking not only the most well-funded, and also to the point, and not only have they been massive, but creating their goal to be Fed, where the majority of all the cash out of convenience, trading hubs of the world, where I think that'll move to coming here, the country that change in global policy. These reduce the most are accumulated at some think the fraudulent average COMEX and London Metals Exchange will bypassed by a more accurate reflection of the as was over than in the United States, getting China raise the price a little bit of the Western papers that the arbitrage will settle eastward, and it will never come back. Just like India purchased 304 million silver. Then is on the COMEX. If we talk for registered category, it's 8 times the amount of silver that is available given moment.
Well, also for perspective, so 300 million ounces India bought last year, but I'm like, the world only produces, what is it, 800, 900, 1 billion ounces. And a lot of that is actually recycled metal. It's not necessarily mined metal. I mean, that's what we use every year. Yeah.
Only 50 million ounces of silver. The majority of the silver, the marketplace, whether it be through mined by companies who have their mining other elements, and this is because they're silver found in nature and very, very near the surface. And as a result, the big deposits. So it is a element that for 1,000 years, gold to silver in mining has been 16. Silver is almost 2. more in trust hold, and that over the past, we've seen that from 1 to now 7-1, according to my for justice. So not only on occasions, but it's not telling the people that on the ground. So not increasing its footprint in nature, it's military uses, digital uses, batteries, and solar panels, anything that conducts electricity or is electronic. So the increase in demand and in uses is real and increase. Is pulling out of the ground. In fact, there are rumblings of the government, their geological survey, that could very well be the first element struck from the mountains. This recently, the mineable reserves, the ground that will be the price is going to incentivize only 35% to market, million ounces short of last year. So it's in demand, in green and digital and monetary application. And on supply, about we've used in the last 80 million land at this point. Up for silver, increase uses, supply, more then the world needs it.
I just for to let the Grow Network know some of the just how extraordinary this is, and the price has been suppressed down. But in 1980, the price of silver reached its maximum level, and that was at $49.45 per ounce. Back in 1980, you could buy a burger at Burger King for 37 cents. A gallon of gas cost about $1.19. A movie ticket was $1.69. The average apartment rent was $243 a month, and the average house cost was only $47,000. So clearly, every other asset category on the planet has gone up, right? We've gotten, stocks, bonds, houses, cars, everything, even gold has gone way up, but silver is half of its all-time high. It's just insane to me.
An example of the bigger question is tariffs have been holding down the prices for now. Position in silver, so
wow.
Right now, the open interest, meaning the number of contracts bars that we delivered, 1,666. 360% more paper contracts than there are bars available. Now, this is a system that has to end. And the only that China and Arabia is that look at gold and silver because against all that or is foolish enough to let go of, and the price that you have something that allows you essence 17.1 item that could be a problem there. That problem. And it's something, and I blaze of as the first in the market have all of a sudden flip-flop. Right now, they are almost basically indication, if not this time, at some point, the commercial banks not only are much like the sense the most wealthy, also the most well-informed. I think they will hoodwink traders that are going short as they are right now, and then let this go to the moon. Because look at it this way, 1700% contracts, then there are bars for delivery. So without the ability to price can go parallel out of business. We were at a commercial bank at not as it just reported $131 billion just unrealized cost portfolio. $2 billion, which is crazy. And if you take the one to realize that they've created a financial system, and heaven knows I could take this mission of the Wizard of Oz. You know, pull back the curtain and hardly stand. And you are U.S. economy that is U.S. empire, which seems to be stuttering and be near the end of its suppression globally. And you realize gold and silver are they're not just what they truly are, I believe, is to the system. And by letting them accentuate themselves in and that's why they tried to hold so long. But the downfall of the suppression is that you are but also understand this dynamics or scan delivery. And they're like, go ahead, suppress. I can for thank you very much. The commercial to that the short position it's easy to do because I'm going and more silver and gold and metal association, even in the Shanghai gold delivery. So I'm to use the make believe to allow them, whoever them are, the big money the people as much of the world makes us until those prices are just make that. And this is a game. I think if you're on the wrong side when it's a big. This is not amazing. It's wealth that occurs in German hyperinflation and every penny in the world is in very, 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 very financial rally. I think that the big money understand that they are globally repositioning themselves, fraction of the West paper markets to do just that. And position change. So people who are wondering why higher is if it's levels the world is going to if the price turn it around, those that you believe on home allows you to understand to guarantee 1,000 ounces. I sell 1,000 to be the whole goes down hundreds on 1,000 ounces. That's $1,000 short on coal. It allows me count is about $7,000 to buy one coal, which is 100 ounces. So $7,000 controls roughly $200,000 whole. And as long as the price doesn't, I never get that trade may $7,000 account controls 200,000 commercial. I can make whatever or wealth and in the Western government, which is metals at such prices are a perception reality. It's difficult to because of its massive counterintuitive. The way the prices are, the massive inflation traders are the after they've accumulated all that they can release at these ridiculous make-believe prices.
Wow. Well, let's shift over a second for so your average person. Now, the Grow Network is we're a pretty big group, and actually we have had some members buy like $500,000 of precious metals before when it was recommended. But the vast majority of us don't have a huge amount of money. And so I'm a huge investor of silver. This is actually one of Bix Weir's coins. This is a 1 ounce coin. And then, of course, I'm always buying silver jewelry. But I think you'd agree the emphasis is have the silver in your physical possession when you buy it. Is it?
Absolutely. Silver, some very, very liquid, unsubjective. No one's liability. I don't liability. Very, very nasty. Of the leverage we see.
So we're likely to see exchanges closing, probably the COMEX itself even shutting down and no longer trading. If you invested in the silver ETF, which is mostly managed, I think, by JP Morgan, it's gonna, that's either not going to exist or be some fiction that doesn't really have anything to it. So, yeah. So you, yeah. So
if you look at this bill is have 5 years. One of the big, yeah, $300 million loss. Well, the bank is there's counterparty risk if you invested in that apartment building. Not
was the Hilton.
Counterparty
Yeah.
risk in this environment is extreme. So having an asset that carries no counterparty liability is incredibly valuable.
I've had some people go, well, Marjory, if I've got silver, how am I going to be able to trade that into money after a collapse? And I'm like, it is money. You don't need to trade it for anything. It is and has been money for thousands and thousands of years. So, so I really strongly recommend to people, well, we'll use an American-centric basis, although the Grow Network is fairly international. But I really recommend, there's a thing called junk silver in the United States, which are coins that were minted prior to 1964 that have 90% silver in them, some dimes and quarters. And I really love that particular thing. One is because it's easily recognizable. Everybody in America goes, oh yeah, it's a dime. It's an old dime, right? Or it's an old quarter. So you don't have whereas if I handed you this 1 ounce round, which is perfectly, triple fine 9, but people wouldn't necessarily know if that's real or not. Counterfeiting will probably become a huge issue going forward. But I love those pre-1964 quarters and dimes. Also, again, we have a whole spectrum in the Grow Network here, and you can buy even just 100 dimes or 1,000 dimes, and it's something you can do with just a few $100s. I think that would make a huge difference in your life going forward as the dollar totally collapses and loses all of its value. Is there anything that you how would you agree with that or recommend something else? Or I know Miles Franklin does sell, though. I just made an order with you. Yeah.
I agree with it. I mean, the pre-5 silver is almost no, and 14 silver dimes in 1965 is almost exactly 0.5 ounces per. And the one where I sometimes go back is, I understand that dimes, quarters, and half dollars, 9% silver. Truly, that finally make. But there is something being a this week the smaller my still $1 million worth of people before who probably a quarter. But probably is utilitarian form, and it is U.S. not to be said. Right or wrong, yeah, I think at the very least, people should have some form which gives you whether it's balanced round or American Eagle, or you should have exposure to silver. The real typically like is 7 and you have that equal actions instead of 1. I just never is that how many people want silver is in a dime, or are they going to look at you and say, no, Marjory, that's a dime. Well, there's really silver in it. That information out there.
Oh, I think people will learn pretty quickly. Yeah, I think they'll learn pretty quick. I think they'll also learn there's a certain amount of silver in these cell phones. Actually, kind of a hopeful item is there's apparently a lot of precious metals up in all the 5G towers. Things get really bad, you can see people dismantling that whole system just to grab the precious metals. Yeah, right. I agree. I think one of the reasons people recommend getting coins in your sovereign nation. So the United States. I like coins minted by the U.S. government. And you're right. I mean, I just actually just bought from you, made an order of silver eagles, and is because of the possible concern for confiscation. I mean, silver is so precious and so rare that, and people, I don't think they realize, but back in the 1930s, the US government actually made it illegal for Americans to hold gold, right? That's like, this is not a conspiracy theory.
Is exactly where the confiscated you have Texas, Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming, North Carolina, these are states that all who proud these are put the brain on the 25 the same classes currency by 2025 in order, and it's coming. You have I never thought in my like this that use property taxes, other things to own. When we talk about liquidity, buy things that have that are sought after, and if you are at the states and really on a government asked or the same would apply to the so I have with a higher that's just in a world that is reversed gold wealth there's for only whatever the case may be, you want to have something that carries great demand. You'll sleep much better at night knowing that you don't have to go and try and convince somebody. For a discount because I think now more.
Well, let me ask you another question about price expectations. So silver, gosh, I'm trying to make this thing work. Here we go. I'm still new, a little bit new on this software. Silver, what do we think the price would go? Gold, let's say gold is approximately $2,000 an ounce. There's so much less silver available, easy to get. And as you've pointed out earlier, there's hardly any mining or production going on, and yet we're using it up all the time. I mean, I would conservatively think that silver would at least achieve the price of gold. I mean, so $2,000 an ounce. Do you have any rough, and I've seen all kinds of things, everything like Cliff Highs talking 600 an ounce. And then there's lots of folks going, no, it should be 10,000 an ounce because it's going to take forever for them to get any mines up and going. And any speculation?
All world reserve asset in all of the on account called the go figure. Why the valuation? Now 20,000 and that asset did, Roosevelt confiscated $1.54 and then devalued the dollar, 35% increase. Again, and I think the fact the head national bank and the revaluation that's what we supposedly have over.
That's another conversation. Yeah, but the U.S. does have plenty of gold, I'm sure. Yeah.
That's right. But if they were so correlated in the relationship and move between they don't harmony, but was so other. You can take 2,000 if it's coming around at now 7-1. That puts it conservatively at $285. If you realize that during the revolution of gold at first, gold as industrial logistics around at almost 7 times off what it's coming around. And it's just I think about it's very true that I have in my book. One is that markets go higher than anyone possible. When I was 21, go 18. The first speech I heard at a conference, and when I was 20 years old, the Japanese were 4,000 center in Pebble Beach Golf Course, Vegas. They made over the world. Here, almost 80%. The value has never gotten close to where it was this coming decade. And so upset than anyone's upside. Depleting $1 million shortfall between supply and demand has been held back of trade. It won't end up. I think the will go anyone. And look, so gold by 7, you're at 400,000. You're at clip. I think gold will go higher because of massive growing debt problem. And to fix that problem, all they got to do is go back to what Roosevelt did. Excuse me. This time, at 23, everyone. Half of this country has any ownership. Revalue. Yeah. Stockpile of gold in the world. That to revalue, right? Will make it much. Will come along. It's not. So you'll see all of it has guidance systems. They all have silver or on the inside, and so it's just applications, monetary you could find a better asset class. And the government, all they either that or they just set the ship. If they can and still not buy a record of relation, not move immediately, will catch up to it. I think there isn't a better place on the planet. Put it this: if I had one G company, it's not silver, it's gold, because it's the only other tier one central bank. You buy silver, realizing that for 200 years, 1,000 years, the mining ratio and ratio were 16 to 1. If fertile is money and silver is role in industrial metal, where the storage and all of that, once we got close to the industrial that silver should much higher, but it is right now held down by that itself and manipulate market for a very extended period of time that is going. There are too many people who understand this, and you could find you buy silver now. Forget about at some point it's depleted at a 7-to-1 ratio of gold. You buy silver at 80 to 1, and which is 100, which is base hit. It's a double. And
yeah.
And expect to get double risk and chances of losing your to me, speculative investment is anything, especially when we mining ratio, sell your silver and buy other tier one reserves. But like one trade, again, it's gold. Now, I honestly go on record as is the silver gold is the trade of the decade. Silver price is the value of a generation. I mean that. The most planet. Gold is the only other tier one the implications. We want to know gold in favor of the selling fundamentals of and should be added, but there are two things for years. Potential factor to maximize potential. Upside, so you don't see that.
You don't.
There's a lot.
Well, what I've been saying, what I believe is a very conservative number, is that silver will go to at least $1,000 an ounce. And that's partly because, the US dollar is, we're on an inflationary, and then we'll soon be on a hyperinflationary trajectory. I mean, I think $1,000 an ounce is actually a very conservative number. And so I've been telling people, look, let's say you've got a mortgage, right? And you got $200,000 mortgage on your house. Buy 200 ounces of silver. What's that cost now? That would be about $5,000 or $6,000, right?
Yeah. You're getting
yeah. somewhere in there. What incredible,
that
it's, but what an incredible insurance policy, right? Because things go crazy. Well, you're worried about your job or paying your mortgage, keeping your house.
people think real hard about banks to get well for 5,000 years. Last year before gold hit economies in the world in Japan. High, but it's all time those two currencies. It has expressed dollars because the dollar is smelling shirt under a laundry bag. And it's
true.
It's the reality of just how important silver is, but as insurance. Silver are insurance in my mind, some sort of an event that you're going down or you're by the same token, if we on going that real silver is now gold and silver sit on the ledge of the back very, very much. It's the currency under which the silver, and if you collapses, I see that. I see.
Yeah.
Argument. Dollar currency. Which then has Saudi Arabia and OPEC value in dollars globally, and for 50 years, it's the demand for the dollar. The plan owns it to buy oil. They've also which is regional military. They come a Belt Road Initiative, the largest every meeting in Davos. Hey, yeah, we'll holding other currencies for the wrong right now in terms of their people Israel. You could see them here, BRICS, and so has Egypt, and they control the Strait of the price of oil.
Yeah.
So right? We signed that. It's supposed to be 85% green by 20, 50%. So you said anymore. I appreciate that for protection. We did to Afghanistan. And then they just the largest regional world with the human population going oil, not just the dollar. Every country on the planet doesn't hold them anymore to create inflationary current which creates the compensation of the dollar, which is the market bond market. This is Schwab. You will and rent where and the crypto market, real estate market, pillars of wealth, stocks, dollars, and real estate collapse. It makes me believe that the number one economic is a man named Jared Bernstein who has a degree in master's degree in social work. He's the lead economic
Oh boy.
administration the world reserve. It's a privilege. He's written articles in the New York, Washington years ago, talking Trump went on China, holding it rid of reserve. So the point is, if you end the world reserve and create to be dumped, which collapses the system and allows us to Putin, Xi Jinping, and OPEC to us, weaponize the dollar. Russia, you're out. You're out. And confiscate your assets, the world. Forget about the fact that we go into Iraq and complete country. We've been there for 20 years. $90 billion in rest. The new their own oil. From the they you own a business and you trade in dollars, you go to prison, your business also will get rid of all physical machinery first. They're going to join the BRICS too. This version that we in the world, so I think, create this revolt. And when the world is not going green, we're not down anymore. But is that environment you want to go up to a nice with your silver? Or a new the point is, this is a one generation cross, but you could argue for over 100 years is coming to an end. We have all good graces of our foreign creditors, and we have milk week to the dollar. We have bullied too many people around the globe. We when you we can go into get it under false pretenses. It's a high holy place that no, you can't do that. We're going to disable your ability to trade. The world doing trying alternatives, and chaos, which allows the very theorists develop came out a month ago. Now was the foray or the currency. I don't know what just came out. And that it's the result. You that checks will be gone. Other transfers gone. Just come here. The bottom line is all banks, she's when everything collapses because of the petrodollar and everything have what did the BI country must have an operational central by 20 the gross to product as those countries, one of them, currency. It's take it. How do you create a village, dump everything, blow up, and now you have a all over with digital currency will be made after losing everything. We want to do the bigger question. Just the United States balance sheet 22, you'll see 155 trillion in debt. assets is student. You take student debt out there, $3.5 trillion in assets, $55 trillion. That trillion go 3,688 years ago. No, we can't pay it off ever. So, in default, or option, find who's the bill? Putin. The reason, aside from looking at who the advisors are and that are matching up, is Biden. Inflation is a monetary event. It is in the supply chain because of the war. Yeah, bases more money 4 years in the history of the country. And I think interest rates at zero over distortions in assets. Their rate should be house is not as it has. And everything is true with everything. Because needs to hold it to buy more. It'll be a religious experience more so than people prepare for the war. Bail is written in the law. Now knows that, and the system is so fractured. I feel now, you are an unsecured creditor of the bank, and watch what happens to the when they government is not there to protect the creditor of a bank. Anything over 20,000 in that bank, and you'll never get the types of could help what we wish for, and buy right tomorrow. You don't come with my fight, my else. You'll have the ability to wish for the move without much.
I totally agree. I've heard it said you don't want to live in a world where silver is 1,000 an ounce, and I get that. But as you've pointed out, there are many, many, many forces that are just so large and being orchestrated. There's that wonderful prayer, the Serenity Prayer of God, help me to change the things I can, to recognize the things that I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, the Grow Network, we're all about being prepared. Most of us know how to grow food and make medicine. And I'm just wanting to add this component of having some precious metals in all of your other preps. We do have other preps too, weapons and things like that. But, have this as a component to being able to make it through this transition. There's very clearly a global transition. It's an epic, right? It's an epic, a life-changing. This is like not even a generational thing. This is like I don't know when this kind of an event ever happens in history, but it's huge, and you want to make through it. You want to get through it, and I believe that having precious metals is a part of it, as well as all the other preps we have. Andy, how can people get it? People have had now. Gosh, we've been at it an hour. They have a sense of you. They've got a sense of Miles Franklin. I will say that, I've been involved with your company buying precious metals for many, many years and have always gotten great response. The stuff comes directly. I've been appreciated that now that you actually ship to Puerto Rico where you didn't before. So how can people get metals from you? As of course, finding a reputable dealer is a concern.
Our corporate office in Minnesota, the only state in America that it's industry, which we boycott Minnesota because of it. State, and we hold it closes to a higher standard. So software into that. State of $2,000. So there's still some issues with software info network. Some updated the prices much better and much competitive than on our website. $1,000 more a refund of price, maybe I'm happy with broker. Everyone their careers prior to working with half of our brokers on Wall Street, so we have very questions as they pertain to geopolitical events, economic events, things that we develop a relationship. And you can buy online, it's easy. I think you really maybe more so relationship so where we're going.
Yeah.
Relationships. So info miles question ask that miles not coming. Check it out there. Make sure you put in cards just so that you can track that. Make sure special care and attention. You know, darn sure that your listeners have a complaint we've ever had. I can promise you that.
Well, I want to thank you, Andy. I know, as I said, you're like, he's extremely difficult to book. And usually we got him this morning in the morning, and he's usually exhausted because there's just so many people buying precious metals. But I feel this is so urgent for the Grow Network community. As y'all know, we're almost like a big family, and I just definitely want to see the best for you. So, Andy, thank you so much, and head over to milesfranklin.com or give them a phone call at that info@milesfranklin.com. Definitely pick up some. I mean, just last week, I'm continuing to stack, and I bought another 10 Silver Eagles. It's not a huge purchase, but I just keep doing it, and it's as I said, I believe it's security. It's a way to be able to make it through this transition because the money system is changing. But Andy, thank you again so much. It was really an in-depth conversation, and I really appreciate your time.
Find ourselves back. Lots to talk about each. And, will really help that work. Until we talk again, I'll look forward to picking up where we left off.
Yeah, awesome. Maybe next month we'll pick up another topic in particular. And yeah, thank you, Andy. We'll talk to you later then.